Hey, this is Jerry Fetta, owner, founder, and CEO of the Wealth Dynamics brand. Hey, I want to give you some education today on self-directed retirement accounts. You're watching this and you're looking at this, maybe you own a self-directed IRA with us, maybe you just signed up, maybe you're interested in one. The first thing I want to cover is what is a self-directed IRA. I want to break down the words, right? So let's start at the very back end of this phrase is IRA. This is an individual retirement account. Okay, individual, meaning I as a person am setting this up. It's not a company account. It's not employer sponsored. I'm putting together my own retirement account. Right? So an IRA is part of the tax code. It allows me to put in right now about a $7,000 per year contribution. I can deduct that on my taxes as long as my income is not beyond the threshold. And then that's money that, I can invest for retirement. It's gonna stay in that account. I can either do Roth, which is tax-free, or I can do traditional IRA, which is tax deductible and tax deferred, but I'll pay taxes on the back end when I withdraw if I don't set things up correctly. And I stress this, if they don't set things up correctly, we do have ways to avoid the taxes. So don't be like, oh no, I'm gonna pay more in taxes. Don't worry, if you do traditional, we've got you covered. You don't need to pay a bunch of taxes on the distribution. We've got plans for that already to handle that for you. But the IRA is something that it's a retirement specific plan, right? So I'm putting in money, I'm getting the deduction, it's growing tax sheltered. I'm gonna save that for later, right? And so that's what an IRA is. Now, most of the time when you hear IRA, you're gonna think of like a financial advisor or working with Wall Street or maybe putting it together with Vanguard or Fidelity or whoever you're working with. And so I wanna give you kind of like who's involved in the IRA process, right? This is what the self-directed part comes down to. So with an IRA, one of the groups that you're gonna have is called a trustee. Okay, the trustee puts together the document. They make sure that you've got the plan document that classifies that this tool, basically, this account, it complies with the definition of what an IRA is per the tax code. So they keep you legally compliant with the IRS. Okay, so that's gonna be the first one is the trustee. The next one is called a custodian. Okay, a custodian actually houses your money. Okay, they hold the funds, they keep custody, right, of the assets. Right, if you think about custodian, there's two things that come to mind. Custody. When I was a kid, my parents got divorced. My mom had custody. She possessed me and my brothers. We have visited my dad just on the weekends. So the custodian holds the money, just like in a relationship. The custody, the parent would hold the kids. Right, the custodian holds the money. The other one is custodian. Like when I was in school, there was a janitor. Right, he was the custodian. He cleaned the school. He took care of the facilities. Right, so just like that with your IRA, your custodian is holding your assets. And they're taking care of it. They're handling the management, the annual reporting, all of the record keeping, right? And so that's gonna be there. Now you're also gonna have a record keeper. Sometimes your custodian will serve as the record keeper. Other times you need a third-party administrator to do that, okay? So that's like your plan administrator. And then you also then have the investment provider. That's the fourth party, okay? So what Wall Street did with IRAs is they packaged all of these things up together. Okay, so when you buy a Wall Street IRA, you go to Edward Jones or you go to Northwestern Mutual or wherever, they are the trustee. They put the document together. They are the custodian. They hold your account and your assets. They are the administrator. They do the record keeping and reporting, and they are the investment provider. Now, guess what? Because they're naturally an investment provider, think about Wall Street. They weren't like originally in the business of establishing IRAs. They did that later. What are they in the business of? They're in the business of distributing their financial products so that they can earn fees and commissions. So it's actually a brilliant business model. If you have an IRA right now with Edward Jones or a Northwestern Mutual or whoever, right? You're working with a company that sells and distributes mutual funds, exchange traded funds, stocks and bonds. And so that's what they're trying to get you to buy. Right now, what did they do? They said, okay, well, we're going to hold your assets. We're going to be the trustee, the custodian, the plan administrator, so that we've got your money in our account, and then we're gonna limit you only to the products that we sell, right? So when you go invest with these guys, you're only gonna be able to invest in stuff they make money on. It's Wall Street. They only make money on stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, annuities, right? So that's the only thing you're gonna be allowed to invest in, and a lot of people don't realize there's other options. So this is where self-directing comes in. With self-directing, if you do this correctly, you have a company that's gonna serve as your trustee. They're gonna put together your documents, keep you compliant with the IRS. They're gonna serve as your custodian. They're gonna hold the account for you because you're not allowed to do that for yourself. You either need a custodian or a bank. I recommend doing a custodian. They're also gonna be the administrator and do the record keeping, but they're not an investment provider. So they're saying, Jerry, I'll set up your IRA and then you can invest that anywhere you want within the IRS's laws, right? And there's only 4 or 5 things actually that the IRS says you cannot invest in with an IRA, okay? So if you have an IRA, by definition and by legal definition, you're not allowed to invest with yourself or with, people that you're related to, close friends and family. That's called self-dealing, and it's what's considered a prohibited transaction, right? So you couldn't take your IRA and be like, I'm gonna now buy a house so I can live in it. You're not allowed to do that. So the IRS is gonna say, hey, that's off the table. You can't buy cars. You cannot buy like a vehicle or a collector's car in the IRA. You can't buy art like rugs, precious art. You can't buy jewels, right? You can buy gold and silver bullion, but you can't buy jewels or collectibles, right? And that's really kind of the extent of it. I'm sure there's a few other ones, but it's only about 4 or 5 things that the IRS says, hey, you can't do this. Now, what does that mean? You could buy real estate. You could do private lending. You could own precious metals. You could do small business investing where you do venture capitalism and you invest in small businesses. You could do angel investing where you invest in startups. I've even heard of people buying a farm. Like literally you own cows in your IRA, right? That's completely allowed and legal, right? And a lot of people don't realize this is an option. And the reason why is because Wall Street doesn't sell those things. They sell mutual funds. So when they set up an IRA and they're the trustee and the custodian, the plan administrator and record keeper, they're only going to let you know about these, and they're going to market and promote and advertise. Like, when is the last time you were watching Shark Tank and the CNBC commercials came on and, Charles Schwab popped up and they're like, do a self-directed IRA so that you can buy cows? They don't do that. That's not something that you're ever going to see. They're going to say, meet with a financial advisor so we can put together your retirement plan, and they're going to sell you stocks, bonds, mutual funds, exchange-traded funds, and annuities. That's it, right? All of that in an IRA. Okay, another thing you can't do in an IRA, by the way, just backtrack a second, is life insurance. I'm very big on life insurance. Unfortunately, you cannot do life insurance in an IRA, okay? But by self-directing, you're basically going from what I call a captive IRA, where you're captive, you're only allowed to invest in what Wall Street makes money on, to then being open-ended, okay? A passive custodian, an open-ended custodian, a self-directed custodian, where they're saying, hey, we'll set it up, you invest it how you see fit. Right now, here's the problem. Most people, it's like giving someone a car and not giving them training or a license, right? Like, here's your car, you can drive anywhere you want to. Great, that's freedom. Okay, but any good game is gonna have freedom, it's gonna have purposes, right? It's also gonna have boundaries. So I've got freedom in an IRA to invest if I self-direct in almost anything I want to. Okay, the purpose is to build retirement income, but I might not be aware of the boundaries. And I might also not be aware of what the freedoms are. I can invest in anything, but anything is the same as nothing. If I don't know specifically which ones to pick, then I might as well leave it in cash because it's just gonna sit there, right? So what Wealth Dynamics does is when you set up an IRA with us, you're gonna pay a setup fee. We're gonna help you with the trustee position. We're gonna put together your plan documents. We're gonna actually build your account out, hold the custody of the assets. We're gonna be the plan administrator with our team. We're even gonna help you with the transfer. We're gonna give you education on how the account works. And then we're also gonna help you pick your investments. Right, we're not registered investment advisors, we're not financial advisors, but we have some vetted providers that you can check out, get education on, and work with. And it's stuff that I invest in, our clients invest in, that have very strong track records and reputations, so that you can look at, okay, well, what is out there? Right, what are my freedoms? I know I can invest anywhere, but what are the options? Maybe I want to do turnkey rental properties. Maybe I want to buy gold and silver. Maybe I want to do seller financing. Maybe I want to do venture capitalism. And so we can introduce you to companies that help with all of those things. That way you're not out there, looking at random things, hoping it's a good idea, and then you find out it was a fraud or a scam or whatever, right? So those are things we assist with. Okay, the other thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that you understand the rules. We're gonna keep you compliant. And so part of this process is, helping you be successful with your self-directed IRA, because it is self-directed, meaning you're in the driver's seat. Okay, you don't have a financial advisor anymore. You are your own advisor, and we can provide you with education. We can provide you with systems, strategies, the right tools, the right teams, those types of things, but you're still the decision maker, which is very different than a traditional retirement plan where it's, I'm gonna go talk to the guy and he's gonna show me where to put it and I'm gonna never think about it again, and hopefully when I'm 60, he did a good job. Okay, we want you engaged. It's your money. You engage with it. You're active. You're paying attention. You understand what's happening. Right? So that's the process of the IRA. And when you set one up with us, another thing I want to go over is the timeline, right? So when you set it up, we're going to first, get your statements. So we need the existing statements on your account now. We don't want to set up a new account till we know what you have now. You might be like, hey, I can roll this over. And then we're like, cool, rollover meaning you can transfer it into a new IRA with us. We look at it and we're like, okay, no, you can't, right? Based on the statement. So we really need to see your statements first. So if you've not shown us your statements, you want to send those to your endorsed wealth mentor or to our client delivery team so we can check that out and make sure we understand what you have and where it can go. Second thing is we're then going to establish the correct account for you, right? So whether that's a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, we're going to determine that with you and help you set that up with our team. Okay, once that account's established, we're going to then do the transfer, right? We're going to help transfer the assets from your old provider to us into the new IRA so you can self-direct. That transfer process we might need your help with, right? So the company that's losing the money, they're not stoked about losing it. They want to keep their fees. So even if they can keep it for an extra 2 weeks, they're going to try. So we can send in the paperwork, we can do a call with them, but we might need to ultimately do a conference call with you and your losing custodian. Jump on that call, push the funds through, and get that deal done. Right? That transfer can take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. Once your money hits the IRA with us, there's a 10-day seasoning period where our custodian is going to hold the funds. There's a freeze on them just to make sure there's no money laundering and that we have the funds, legally passing all of the little checks and balances that the banking system and custodial systems require. Right? Now, once those are available, we can then get with you and say, good, it's time to invest. And maybe you already know what you want to invest in. Maybe you need some education. Maybe you need some introductions. Maybe you want to look at one of our options or one of the providers that we work with. Great. We can set you up with all those things and we're going to work with you on that. Okay. Now, the final thing we're going to do is we're going to then integrate all of this with your blueprint to financial freedom. Right? Like when you set these things up, a lot of people will set up their IRA and their 401k and this and that, and none of them really flow together. Right, I talked to a client yesterday, one-on-one call, and she was like, yeah, I've got, 2 401k accounts, 2 IRAs, a brokerage account, a cash account, I've got real estate, I got this, and she's doing a lot of different things at once, but they're all jumbled. So one of the things that I said, hey, let's streamline all of this, let's put it in the correct sequence, let's get you organized so it's easy for you to focus on and easy for you to understand. And let's also avoid investing in things that are gonna cause you more confusion. Like you're already doing real estate, you understand that, let's maybe do more of that with your IRA. Rather than let's go invest in, Origin Clear, a water company that we work with where you don't know anything about the water industry yet, and now it's another thing you've got to think about. Sure, it might seem exciting, but you're ultimately the one that has to understand and manage this with us. We want you to be able to track with it all. So that's the process of the IRA, right? And then with that, you're getting our education and support. You're also going to get 12 months of access to Wealth Dynamics University. This is our flagship financial education program. You're getting books and courses from us on, investing, retirement, retirement accounts, different asset classes. You're getting one-on-one consultation with our client delivery team. You're getting a one-on-one relationship at no cost, by the way, with an endorsed wealth mentor. And that's going to carry you through so that you've got the plan, the team, the tools, all that's put together, and you can successfully invest that self-directed account. I hope this video gave you some clarity on the process, what this looks like, what it is. And if you're interested in getting one of these set up, reach out to your endorsed wealth mentor and let them know you want to get started.